And sustainability is such an important topic, right? So let's go on with talking about this. Did you know that the consumption of paper and cardboard in Germany is about 242 kilograms per year per head? This is quite a lot. The trend is rising, and this happens mostly thanks to the online shops. For comparison, in 1991 they didn't exist, and back then the consumption was only 70 kilo per head per year. This is a difference, right? So yes, we need wood from the forests to make paper, and we take the wood, of course, from the forests from all over the world, but it's not always legally won. So lucky, it's good to know that we have many alternatives like grass, hemp, craft paper, and they all have a great potential. And even better, additionally, more than 73% of the wasted paper becomes recycled. But on the other hand, this is a complex process, especially so far for UV and LED inks. But I have also good news for you. We have latest news in terms of environmental protection that comes from Thomas Glaser from Siegwerk. You lift the curtain, right?
Hello, good morning, Maxi.
So tell us, what do you have in store for us?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you very much to IST for getting the opportunity to do a presentation on the recycling of UV printed products. I mean, we have heard in the previous presentations, recycling is getting a must-have feature, and it is getting more and more important also for us as an ink maker to implement such features of making recyclable products.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to it. What you have to tell us, what you want to tell us, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard recycling is a big part of the sustainability topics, and it's getting more and more important, and also more and more important for the UV printed products. In my presentation, I would like to give you a little bit more of an insight how the recycling of UV printed products is done today. And I would like to start, first of all, with the drivers who are responsible why recycling of UV printed products is getting more and more demanding and important for the converters and for the ink makers as well. So we have 4 pillars which are driving this recyclability topic. First of all, the first pillar is the regulation. So we have different regulations in place, like the EU Circular Economy Package, the Single-Use Plastic Directive, different packaging standards, and also the Waste Packaging Directive from the EU, which is in place. The second pillar is concerning the consumers, and there are certain no-goes for the consumers. Like, for example, we have concerns on plastic waste, on littering, and on the environment. The third pillar are the markets itself. So we have voluntary commitments of brand owners and retailers. They all want to participate in these drivers. They want to reduce plastic in their packaging materials. They want to recycle more of their products. And this is certainly also driving this trend. And the last pillar is the sustainability. So we are mitigating resource scarcity and climate change. So these are the 4 main drivers for the recycling of UV printed products. And when it comes to UV printed packaging, which is the first part of this event today, we are in the packaging segment right now. We need to deep dive a little bit more. How is the situation looking like in the different packaging areas? And when we look on the development of paper and board packaging waste in the years 2007 to 2017, you can see that the packaging waste, paper and board, was increasing by more than 12% during this time. And with 48% of total packaging waste, paper and board is the biggest portion of the packaging waste in total. The second area of importance when it comes to UV printing is, of course, the development of the plastic packaging waste. And also here in the same period, 2007 to 2017, you can see that it was growing in line with what we have seen before, more than 12% during this period. And so the plastic packaging waste is representing the second biggest portion of the total packaging waste, with around about 90% of the total. So this clearly shows that the waste is dramatically increasing, and therefore the need for recycling is increasing as well. I mentioned in the beginning in the driver slide that we have some regulation drivers, and the most important one when it comes to Europe is the Waste Frame Directive. And within the Waste Frame Directive, there's the Packaging and the Packaging Waste Directive. And this is from the European Union, which is making proposals to the countries to adapt to those targets. And the Waste Frame Directive in 2018 was setting new targets for the municipal waste and packaging waste collection. And the target is clearly to increase the recycling rates for paper and cardboard. As you can see here in this graph, the existing target is at actually 60% of recycling rate. And the new targets they set in 2018 for 2025 is already 75%. And they want to raise again up to the year 2030 to 85%. So these are the targets for the paper and cardboard. So the countries now need to adapt, and also they need to regulate on the country level. And this will have definitely impacts on the converters and also the brand owners. So therefore, the converters are strongly forced to contribute also to those recycling rates. And depending on the countries, there are different systems in place. It can be malus systems where converters or brand owners have to pay certain fees or certain money on the printed material they're bringing to the market. So I'm pretty sure that in the coming years, we will see more and more of such regulations where the converters and the brand owners will be impacted. But how does it look like on the plastic side? So on the plastic side, of course, they have also set new targets for the recycling rates. And the clear target also here is to massively increase those recycling rates. So today, the existing target is at 23% of collecting and recycling plastic material. And in the year 2025, they have increased the target to 55%. And it's also the same target for 2030. So also here you can see a clear massive increase in those rates. But yeah, how is the recycling done in those different areas? So we heard from Maxi before that we know the recycling very well from recycled paper, which we collect at home and which we bring to the stations and where they make recycled paper out of it. But how does it look like for the other streams? So I try to show you the differences in the following slides. So as you know, we have the household collectibles and also the industrial collectibles. And we have three main streams there. So the first one is the one of the newspapers and magazine collections, if you like, which is going directly into the paper mill, where they're producing the recycled paper for office uses, mainly by the flotation deinking process. The second stream is affecting the packaging, so the cardboard, the folding cardboard business, if you like. So those cardboards also, they are collected, and they are also getting to the paper mills. But the paper mill here is not doing the inking process. It's just doing mechanical recycling. And what they're producing out of this recycled material is mainly corrugated board and packaging papers. And the third stream is concerning the plastic materials. So the plastics are also collected, and they are brought to the plastic recyclers, and they are also doing the inking process. So they are separating the printed ink from the plastic material, and they are recycling the purified plastic materials to be reused. So you can see here, very often we talk about the inking, but the inking is not done in the same way in those streams, and this is the main differentiator, and which makes it also more complicated for the consumable producers to offer solutions, because we need to adapt our systems as well to be capable to be recycled in those different streams. So to explain further, I would like to deep dive a little bit more into the differences in those recycling techniques and technologies, and why we need to also get detailed input from brand owners, from converters, when we come to discussions about recyclability of UV prints. Let's start again with the paper mills doing the flotation deinking. So what they do here, they use 40-degree hot water, and they are adding various chemicals to the hot water. So the collected newspapers and magazines, they are mixed together with the water and the chemicals, and they do a so-called mechanical mixing. During this mixing, the ink films, the cured ink films and coating films, they are mechanically broken down. They are separated also from the cellulose fibers, and within the process, they are blowing air into the liquid phase containing the cellulose and the ink particles, and air bubbles are going to the surface. And in this process, the small particles of the ink and the OPV, they need to be within a defined region. So ideally within 10 to 250 microns. They are attaching to the air bubbles, and so the air bubbles can lift them to the surface, and the ink particles can so then be separated easily from the cellulose fibers. And what is left over is then cleaned cellulose fibers, and out of those they can make high quality white office paper. So what we need to do in this process is clearly we need to adapt the ink formulations to be capable to break down into these small fragments to be lifted with the air bubbles. So not all UV systems used in the market are suitable for this recycling process and the inking process. The second part, it's the folding carton recycling or the cardboard recycling. This is done via a mechanical process. So in this process, we also use 40-degree hot water, but the big differentiator is that we don't use any chemicals in this mechanical mixing. So also the cardboards, they're broken down together with the water to dissolve the cardboard. And what they do later in the process, they integrate further filtration steps in order to filter out some adhesives used in the folding boxes, which are disturbing then, of course, in the further step of making the cards. So the big differentiator here in this recycling process is that we have only mechanical breakdown and that we are not removing the ink particles. So they are staying within the corrugated board, but they are broken down to very small particles, so that they ideally cannot be seen with the eye, and that they are not disturbing the homogeneous final quality of the corrugated board. The last one, the plastic recycling, also here we talk about the inking. But you can see that the parameters and the conditions are once again completely different to the inking parameters which are used in the recycling process of making the recycled paper. Because in plastic recycling, they're using 80-degree hot alkaline solution with one surfactant mainly, and they also they are flaking the material, and the flakes are then mechanically mixed with this hot alkaline solution and surfactant. And during this process, also the target is to separate printed ink film and coating films from the plastic materials. Afterwards, the plastic flakes, the ink plastic flakes, they are then washed with pure tap water to clean them and to make them suitable to be recycled as recycled plastic material. The big difference here is that there are different ink systems and in the market, and also depending on the chemistry. What is important to get is we need to formulate ink systems in a way that they are suitable to separate via the parameters and the chemicals which are used in this process. But the difficulty here is that the systems, they don't have to solubilize completely, because otherwise they're coloring the alkaline solution, and this is also not the target in the recycling process. So what we need to do, we need to separate the ink films, we need to break down the particles, but then the ink particles, they need to separate by sedimentation. So what is checked here, normally after 24 hours, the target is that the ink particles are going to the bottom of the washing solution, and that they then can be separated from the alkaline solution, which is then reused in the inking process. As we are using different conditions, we use different temperatures, we are using different chemicals in the paper recycling, and we're using also completely different chemicals in the plastic recycling. You can imagine that we also need to use then different ways in formulating products in order to be capable to be recycled with those different recycling processes. So the inking is not the inking. The inking depends really on what you're looking for, if you're looking for paper recycling or if you're looking for plastic recycling. Also, in the middle area of the folding cartons, there are also some works going on where the intention is to bring the bleached virgin fiber-based folding cartons into the recycling process of the recycled papers. The troubles they have in the paper recycling is that the volumes for good quality material for the newspapers, the magazine, is shrinking constantly year by year, and they are lacking of good printed material containing good quality cellulose fibers. And like I mentioned, the bleached virgin fiber-based folding boxes, they would be really a material which the paper recyclers would like to have in their recycling process, because it will then lead to also an improvement of their final recycling paper quality. Like I mentioned, there are a lot of streams and works going on in this segment, and there are a lot of people working on bringing those valuable folding boxes into this paper recycling process. Yeah, what are the solutions from an ink maker perspective? I can just mention what Siegwerk is offering there in those three categories. For the paper recycling, Siegwerk was developing and bringing to the market quite some time ago. So we started in beginning 2018, where we brought the first UV and LED offset inkable systems into the market. Since this time, we have further developed various ink systems and also flexo UV OPVs, which are the inkable via this flotation process. So we have also developed some non-low migration systems and also low migration systems, which are used in packaging, for example, which can be inked with the flotation process. When it comes to the mechanical recycling of the folding cartons, also there we are offering various solutions. So of course we are also having various UV ink and OPV solutions, which are not interfering negatively with this mechanical recycling process. And on top of that, we are also offering some plastic emulsion solutions, like, for example, for replacement of matte PET. And also in the last pillar, the plastic recycling, we are also working and offering here some inkable UV solutions for the different applications. So, but one important thing I need to mention here, when it comes to recycling of UV printed materials, the problem is, and the issue is, we cannot make general statements on yes, it does work, or no, it does not work, because the whole recycling success is very much depending on the formulation itself of the ink and the OPVs. And of course, you also need to distinguish between the different recycling processes and parameters and chemicals which are used in there. So I hope that I've been able to show you and explain you the differences in the recycling of UV printed products. It is possible, but like mentioned, please don't make general statements and don't take it as a general statement. Yes, it's no problem to recycle. There are still some systems in the market which are problematic, but there are also solutions available. So therefore, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. In case you have further questions and you would like to know more, you can find the contact details at the end of the presentation. I would be happy to get in contact with you. Please send me your questions and we're happy to help you. And once again, also a big thank you to IST for getting the opportunity to do this presentation on the recycling of UV printed products. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this valuable contribution. And if the contact information was now too fast for you on the slides, please have in mind that you can also use the chat window. Leave there your contact information and we will provide you with further information and we get you in touch. So